To turn. The Valar will never forgive you. Elves will never accept you. Men will look at you with nothing but disgust and horror. A corrupted, ignoble race only to be hunted and slaughtered. Welcome back, everybody!
Wow, the time has come, everybody.
We are so back, baby.
We're in Rings of Power territory. I'm Jessica. That's Ben. This is Podcast of the Rings. We have been treading water until today.
We have not been treading water. I don't like when you say that. We have put out good content that people have enjoyed. We were waiting for the show to happen, but it's not like we're like, Frodo?
I guess I lean a little more into the deprecative side of humor than of course we're doing great content. And if you followed us and you found us from our trailer reviews or when we did our rewatch of season 1, I think I've just been anxious for this to start because the trailers really got me hyped and it's here now. All 3 episodes I thought were going to be like, I was really confused why they drowned us with all 3. And then I realized it's Labor Day weekend. If you want to do this all weekend, this is the thing to do. And it's actually kind of too hard to watch all 3 in one sitting. It's a little too much TV.
For sure. Like I peeped in on Nerd of the Rings. He was doing like a live stream of it, but like the timing wasn't right. And people were purposely jumping ahead and like jumping in chat with, like, I didn't see any spoilers, but people were saying there were spoilers and the mods are trying to handle
crappy.
it. People just tend to suck. And it's just so weird, especially with someone that's like so positive about everything.
Right.
Even in a way that like I think he didn't enjoy a lot of Rings of Power season 1, but like he not in like a toxic way. He was just like, oh, this is my criticisms of it. Which
he knows
is
too much.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I watched his review of like the first or the 3rd episode, and he seems to be enjoying it, and so do I. I'm going to have to temper myself because these first 3 episodes, and we'll focus on the first one today, don't worry. But even this first episode, I was like, oh my gosh, the dialogue is better. It looks so good. Like
so much better.
Now I know I will give you 2 years if you're going to make everything look this good. Because they took their time with everything. The costumes look better. This opening scene with the orc makeup looks so good. Every orc looks unique, straight out of Peter Jackson's Middle Earth. Like,
to be fair, they didn't really skimp on orcs before. They just followed up, and that was something we talked about. But like I saw somewhere someone tweet that like 100 orcs were in individual makeup for a shot. Like that's incredible, and it shows. It shows how good it is.
It does. And this first scene, you're just like, oh, okay, this is different. This opening scene of like Sauron's rebirth origin. Sorry, my cat's got the zoomies right now.
I definitely don't have a zoomy cat.
She does not have a zoomy.
Not right now. He actually stepped on my eyeball today when he was ready for food, which was so unusual. He has this inane ability to like step right on like the very soft part of my breast or my ovaries. And then sometimes he occasionally steps on my boyfriend in the right exact spot too. And today it was my eyeball.
He said, you know what? The pressure's not there. We got to step it up, baby. Blue's going full Guantanamo Bay, apparently.
Also, this is my office chair. And I don't...
Not anymore.
I don't get that. I have a chair in here for him, and he takes the office chair.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have a zoomy cat. I have a sleepy cat.
He's got a sleepy cat. But yeah, just... I do have criticisms of this first episode, but it just... Everything... And especially... is it the first episode? I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but
I know.
I think it's the first episode where like I literally like raised my hands. I was like, yes!
There was a couple of really great moments for
Yeah.
sure. So what we're going to do today is go pretty much scene by scene. We are going to stick to talking about the first episode. If you're joining us in real time on Labor Day weekend when all this is dropping, tomorrow's going to be the next episode, and the following day is going to be episode 3. So today we're focusing on Elven Kings. What's the title of this full episode? Elven Rings for Elven Kings, something like that.
I believe so, yes.
Also, one of our earlier jokes for season 1 was, this is a show called Rings of Power, and they can't even say the word rings. It's like it doesn't exist in their vocabulary. And it's literally every other word in this first episode. Literally every other word.
Like they're just like they clicked the machine gun and they're just like ring 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 ring, like
totally.
Because I'll never
Rings
get over
power.
Right? I think they say that either in the second episode.
Yeah, he does.
And so it's just
Elrond
like the fact that they're just like something circular. Not a crown, not a necklace, something
but it goes
smaller
on you.
Not a bracelet either. What is that? It's like, oh my god! Ah!
Yeah, let's get into it. We're back, baby.
We are back, and we start with a new Sauron that we haven't seen before. Basically. And I'll get into this probably in the third episode, but we start with basically Sauron at the time saying, Morgoth is dead, I am your leader now. And I love how he literally gives the speech from Shrek. He's like, some of you will die, and that's a loss I will find acceptable.
It's actually, it just is like the weirdest thing. First of all, I think the actor's name is Jack Lowden. Handsome AF Sauron, I'm in. But it's just like really weird speech to be given to a bunch of orcs. And he's really not reading the room at all. At all. There's a lot of ego at play. And if he's manipulative and can control the hearts of people, as we get to understand a little bit more in this episode and the next, just lead them. and I'd kill him too. He's being such, like he's Andrew Tating us a little bit.
That's the thing is that I understand the ego. I do. He's, a being of the Valar. Like, he's, there's a name for it. I can't think of it. Like how the strangers in Istari.
Yeah, he's definitely something.
Yeah. But it is just like, this feels like, should you have like an American flag with Patton in the background right now? Like, I've never needed, I don't know. I liked this opening. I did. Like, in a vacuum, I thought it was great. But like, when I thought about it, I was like, why do you need to have a rallying speech for, like, I know we're in an election year, but you don't need to get votes here.
That's exactly where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Like, give us like the Sauron who's cruel, who doesn't just like, I don't want to get into the weeds of like what it should have been. It just was kind of silly, is all. It's just when you think too much about it, it's a little silly.
It was a good setup for Adar and like how, like, did he actually kill Sauron? And he did. Like, he did do it. But
I'm going to say, like, if you're telling me, hey, I'm going to make you guys slaves and you're all going to die. Why? Don't ever tell anybody that.
Yeah. You see his speechwriter off the side like, nope, new draft.
That's why they have a sniper.
Are we live? Cut the feed.
I think that's it exactly. And maybe this is like baby Sauron who learns better how to be manipulative from the black goo. You know what I'm actually really surprised about is from the time he is black goo to getting on the boat that's attacked by the sea serpent or whatever, not a lot of time. I would have wanted a little bit more time of him being an outcast. Sure, he was probably walking for a while, but I would have liked to see him get tumbled around a little bit more by people, jostled a little bit more, beaten up by like the situation. Do you agree?
It's like, I don't want to like not so he gets just like jumped and killed, and then he becomes black goo. And I wonder, like, someone had a funny tweet that I was like, I wonder if he ate like a deer first. Did he have to eat a rat and then he becomes a rat? Like, yeah, it's like, does that form him as a person?
Kinda, right?
Really
Like,
great CGI though. Like the rat just like slowly being like just swallowed up was disturbing.
it's very Stranger Things,
Yeah.
right?
I don't give Stranger Things any credit for anything. Like, there's not a single original piece of visual.
I'm just saying it reminded me of
No, I
that
know.
blob.
It's not about
that-
you. It's not about you at all. It's literally just about that, like, oh, they're on their bikes, like Stranger Things. It's like, no, dude. Like,
Go back to Annie
Farther.
Amblin. Yeah.
Like, by the way, it was like someone. I saw a tweet yesterday, like, "Oh, Sean Astin from Stranger Things," and everyone was like, "He's not Bob from Stranger Things. Get it the fuck right."
At a certain point, we're gonna be wrong.
We're gonna be wrong. I realize I'm old, but it's just like
I'm just saying it was vibing Stranger Things.
I totally get
especially
what you
with the
mean.
rats. Alex was watching it and going, it's really interesting that this is how they're choosing to depict it, because there's not really a flag in the ground of how Tolkien explains how Sauron corporealizes.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting to show us. And it was gross, but not too gross, you know?
It was towing that line very well. It was very Peter Jackson-esque, honestly.
The first, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned, I haven't seen the third episode yet. So I've seen the first two. There's some serious horror moments.
Yes.
And it's good. It is good. It works.
But yeah, going back to that, where I totally agree with you, where like the first, like, yeah, slime Sauron, takes over the person in the wagon. I get it. You're slime. You're desperate. We've all been there. long.
Have you been there?
We've all been slime. We've all taken over a random traveler.
Help me, please.
College was a crazy time, Jessica.
Don't say that. No.
The woke mob's gonna come after me now.
Oh my god, what did he do in college? Jesus Christ.
No, but like it was really, really great. But I'm with you about that, because it seems like the first human he interacts with as Halbrand is the most knowledgeable, wise old man that's just like, oh, forgiveness is the way, lad. Darkness, if you want to, it is. I liked this. I want to be on the record. I loved this opening. I really did.
I'm gonna help you with this too. This is so Tolkien. Every time Frodo comes across someone, I'm like, how the hell is Glorfindel there? You know, the best fucking elf on the planet. Because it's Tolkien. It's all about fate. It's all about right place, right time. And that old man, I totally buy it. It couldn't be more Tolkien. And I love that. I'm just saying I need him to be even like a little more despondent. He got cast out, literally killed by what he thought would be his people,
his followers. Yeah,
right. And let us see him lose it again, or get jumped in the middle of the road. I don't know. I just need to see a little bit more, because and maybe this is actually where I'm being a little maybe I'm wrong, because they keep on talking about how manipulative Sauron is. I truly believe Sauron doesn't want to follow this path anymore. But in season 1, I believed that, and maybe that's not correct.
No, they definitely make it like that, to where he follows the old man instead of going towards what he knows is Adar and his orcs, destroying whatever town that is from season 1. And so you're like, oh, maybe he did, I always made fun of his vision quest, his Rumspringa that he goes on in Numenor, and he really just wanted to be a blacksmith. I don't know, man. This isn't official Tolkien literature, so maybe he really did, and I've just accepted that. And the one problem I have with this scene, truly, we can make fun of that the one guy he runs into is just the one guy he needed to. But you're right. That is Tolkien. And it happens all the fucking time.
It really does. It really does.
But when they get attacked by the ship, and I like the scene before that where he's like, oh, what troubles you? He's like, I've done bad things. Like, oh, we all have. He's like, not like me.
Yeah.
And then he can feel, the sea monster coming. And then the old man gets trapped under the board, which, happens a lot in a lot of things. But I wish he like grabs the medallion that we see in season 1 of like, the Southland royalty or whatever it is. And I wish that hadn't happened. I wish he had either tried to save the old man or the old man had just died from like the rubble. And then he takes it, because I feel like, I don't know, because if you want me to believe that he is like trying to turn over a new leaf, or like thinks he does and is trying to go against like his, Valar given nature or whatever you want to call it, then you got to show me that. You can't show me him like choosing to not go down the path of violence and then immediately being like, oh no, give me your thing, it's mine. I don't know, it felt, I was on this train of like, oh, maybe I was wrong about season 1. Maybe he did want to do this, or maybe he was manipulating the whole time, or maybe he was like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I see a path back to power. Let me get into my old habits. Let me get into my bag here and start risen up Galadriel and Celebrimbor.
You cannot tell me.
No.
Anyway, you can't.
It's over. It's official. These first 3 episodes made it official. Like,
okay, I haven't even seen the 3rd episode, and I'm so excited.
Like, there's an anime that I watch in like Jujutsu Kaisen, and the main thing of like the first season is that the 2 most powerful sorcerers, Gojo and Geto, were like best friends in high school. Then Geto turns bad, and like bad is a shade of gray, where he's like, I want to fundamentally change the world. And they haven't seen each other for 10 years. And then Gojo like walks into an area and he's like, he was here. It's like, you can't tell me that's just friends things, guys. He smelled him after he hadn't seen him for 10 years, and he knew he was there. Get out of here.
Gato Balzac has been here.
Right? Literally. It's so funny. The tweets about it like that. It's very hilarious. But I don't know. How did you feel about it? Were you okay with that, with like him just like yoinking the medallion, or did you want like something different?
I actually think they really succeeded in making us really confused about Sauron and empathetic with Galadriel, because Elrond is the only one who's seeing clearly about this. And so I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. We have to believe that what they're saying is true, that Galadriel was played like a goddamn fiddle by Sauron.
For sure.
And that means we were too. So I think he saw the sigil, went, I could use that. And it is interesting because in the moment right before the sea monster comes, he goes, I've done bad. I don't know why you're really talking about that to this guy. Like if you really are not going down a new path. Do you know what I mean? Like
he might have known he was about to die.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I actually
and then he just mogs that sea monster,
which is great. It's so great. He's like not
hits
even
him with the blue steel, or
he auditions for House of Dragons.
He really does, yeah.
I cannot not say House of Dragons. I know it's House of the Dragon. So what I'm trying to say is, it actually makes when you think about what he said to Galadriel, I got it off a dead man. It makes it even more insidious because that man was not dead yet, but about to be, right?
Yes.
Like that's gross. So I think you have to like retroactively paint everything we've experienced with Sauron and go, I can't trust a fucking thing this guy does. And he's so good. Like on a heel turn, on a dime, he can make you empathize with him and then hate him in a second. Like they had me going like this back and forth, flipping on how to feel about him. So I think he played Galadriel like a fiddle. Gil-galad said that. Elrond said that.
Oh my gosh, the conversation between Galadriel and Gil-galad about how you cannot be the one to go.
It's
like
Gil-galad
when she calls him.
Shows
like
up
he's so good.
Yeah,
he is
finally
so
shows up
good. I like that is the top story of the evening is like Gil-galad redemption arc right now, because he's just firing like banger after banger. And then like when she calls him Sauron, I think it's in episode 2, but just like she calls him Halbrand, he's like, Sauron, like get that in your brain, girl. Like,
So Elrond is baby girl, and Elrond and Gil-galad is daddy or zaddy. So, and he's just killing it. So anyway, I think what I'm understanding is Galadriel is still highly under the influence of Sauron. He saw what was in her mind, used that to the best of his ability, and saw a different path. Because also, let's not forget, he's collecting his power
yes.
back. Even though he's fully corporealized, what we know about him from the movies, he still has to amass power.
Yeah.
So he's probably going, okay, I can get these people under my influence. And this,
he's campaigning right now.
Really bad timing for America to have this TV show. It really, you have a woman and a man. I will say this, and I'm gonna
imagine if Hillary was running again, just a blonde woman verse.
The fucking memes would go off.
A blonde woman versus a man in a wig.
They make him so dirty. They really do. So I'm gonna say this, and I do love that Galadriel is like the main lead protagonist. I really do like it. But we know Isildur kills Sauron.
Yes.
We know that. They're going to have a hard time justifying anybody else besides Galadriel killing him. That just hit me watching last night, going, by making her the protagonist, they've completely supplanted our catharsis with this.
That's the thing, is that I don't know if they're going to do like a Hobbit kind of thing where they kick him out of something. You know, they kick him out of Dol Guldur and like he, you know, flies off to Mordor, and then Christopher Lee says, I'll take care of him. And you're like, oh, I know this story or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. Now, you're talking to the one person on the earth that loves that fight, where Hugo Weaving walks in and says, you should have stayed dead. But other than that, not a lot of people like that. So I hadn't even thought of that, but you're completely right, where, especially with where the characters are, where Nerd of the Rings made a good point, where I like the Stranger and Nori stuff more this season so far, but they're still so separate. Everybody else is in the same story over here, with the Númenóreans, with Galadriel, with the rings, with Durin, with Khazad-dûm. Everything's like kind of connected. And then you have the Stranger over here. I'm sure they're going to intersect at some point, and possibly this season, but they haven't yet. And so Isildur is starting to become a little bit like that.
Right.
Granted, like, he's separate, he's lost in the woods, he's going to run into Arondir. But
he's going to have a love story too this season, which will be interesting. And
so, thank God, we need one.
Yeah. Totally.
But it's like, it needs to come together. And I'm sure it will, you know, whether well written or not is yet to be seen. But especially because we know how this story ends. And that's the problem with any prequel. Is that, you know, I'm watching Solo, a Star Wars story, and there's a scene on a train where, like, Chewie, like, leans out, and there's, like, a rock coming, like, whoa! I'm like, Chewie lives. I know he lives. I've seen Star Wars. Like,
but what was it? You said that you watched something, and it made me go, oh my God, what's going to happen? And
the Revenge of the Sith scene.
Right.
Yeah, so there are moments like that, so.
I guess I just mean, I can see someone's valid complaint that, well, why is the story totally circling around Galadriel when it really should have been Isildur as the main plot person? Yeah. But we'll see how it trickles down. We'll see if, you know, maybe Galadriel zooms in on some special powers and gives Isildur the might to cut his hand off. I don't fucking know. So anyway, I think it's really funny that we get Galadriel chasing Elrond to Lindon. I thought
they were like playing.
Yeah, it totally. It had a vibe of like, oh, let me catch you, bro.
Yeah,
Sephiroth, what are you doing?
They didn't. I don't know if it was the score or just the setting like, I'm glad she wasn't smiling while riding the horse again, but
Maybe she
like,
smiled when Lyndon started lighting up again.
but man, I was just like, what? Oh, he's, and I understand that Elrond is in the right, but like, does he like Galadriel? Is he like bitter that he got friend zoned or something? Because he's just like at her throat this whole time.
He's really hurt. She said, "I need you to trust me." And then didn't give him any information. I think he's just hurt. I think he's feeling very betrayed by her.
But she's not allowed to feel betrayed when he tried to throw her off the face of the fucking planet.
Yeah, I'm with you. This kind of grudge. This is interesting because then Círdan gives Elrond some good advice in episode 2. And again, we're not really talking about episode 2 yet. But I think he's really disappointed in Galadriel.
Yeah.
And if this was a movie, it would play out in less scenes because this is a TV show. They're extending his emotions about this to the point where it's like, yo, dude, but you know what it sounds like? You know what it kind of does feel like? Let's just compare the lure of the rings to an addiction. And he's trying to keep it away from her.
Yeah, I love the sound that the rings make. It's very One Ring-ish, which,
Totally.
I'm okay. Like, people are going to be like, well, they never did. I don't care. You have to visualize something for an audience that isn't balls deep in the lore, people. Like, not everybody has read the appendices and has it scribbled on their wall fucking 7 from David Fincher style. It's okay. It's okay to have simple visual and audio cues that people are like, oh, I've seen the movies. That reminds me of like the sound the ring made whenever it was tempting Frodo. It's okay to do that. It's okay.
No, and it works because
it does.
It just does work. I don't think you could do it any other way. But I think Elrond's just mad, and maybe it's a little heavy-handed, but he's so disappointed. It's basically like, okay, I put my faith in you, and then yet again you betrayed my faith, kind of thing. And I think he's looking at like, oh crap, I think I'm an enabler here, and so maybe he could be disappointed with himself. He doesn't know how to help. And because let's not forget, we're talking about like adolescent baby elves. You know what I mean? Like they're not children, but they're young when we know them later, they've gone through all this already.
Yes, they've gone through the war, like not the War of the Ring, but the first bout with Sauron. So it's like,
so right now, the elves have really never faced this kind of internal dissidence. Essentially. Yeah. So I think we're watching younger versions of themselves learn how to come to terms with bad situations. Is it a little heavy-handed? Yes. But is Elrond sort of in the right? Or at least like it's kind of like you're in the room and saying, guys, this is a bad idea, and no one's listening to you.
Yeah.
So and I like what Círdan asks Elrond later. Would you deny us healing everything if it meant playing into Sauron's hand? And Elrond's like, yeah, am I
taking crazy pills right now?
I'm taking crazy. What the hell? What kind of question is that?
Like just because you're handsome doesn't mean you get to ask dumb questions, Círdan.
So handsome. I love that they like show us the waterfall too. And Alex even made a joke like yeet, like he was gonna throw the rings off, and he totally yeets himself, and it's wild that Elrond just jumps. It's wild.
Yeah, I wanted to like kind of splice together the Tommy Lee Jones. Boy, did a dam right here. Peter Pan right off this dam right here. It's like, I want to search of every doghouse, hen house, lighthouse, yard house.
It's gonna, by the time we're done recording this, someone will have made that edit. Or Absolutely. We're too old.
But also we can't forget that I think after we get the Sauron prequel, it leads into him getting purposely captured by Adar in Mordor.
Oh, sure.
And he goes to the prison camp and gets tortured by
Waldreg.
Waldreg.
What a fucking cuck. That guy is the worst.
Yeah,
the
he
worst.
played. But you know what?
He does it perfectly.
Those guys, I mean, not including this guy apparently, but because he might have overplayed his hand a little bit. But like, those guys live. Like
Yeah, totally.
like we're talking about House of the Dragon. Like, you know, Hand of the King is like, oh yeah, you're king now. I'll hail the king. Okay.
Woo.
But yeah, just he gets his ass kicked, and I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to expect from this. But I like their Adar and Halbrand's like interaction with each other, and then I love, you know, I don't know if I needed him to tame the Chihuahuarg. But yeah, I thought they were gonna change the design a little bit.
No,
I think it's better than season 1.
The darkness helped.
The darkness helps where it's not like in the sun shining and yeah. But
it would win the ugly dog contest.
But that was a big jump scare when he's got like the bone out and like I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I love when he's like swear allegiance to Adar. He's like, I swear allegiance to the Lord of Mordor. I was like, that's the good stuff right there. It's so simple because he didn't say Adar because he's the leader of Mordor. I love it. It's just like, you know, I'm a pretty simple guy.
No, it's great. You want your just desserts. I totally get it.
I love how he's like, I'm going to kill you before this is over. Anytime someone says that, whether it's like Braveheart or... No, it's not Braveheart. It's The Patriot. Oh. Where Mel Gibson says it to Lucius Malfoy. And he's like, before this war is over, I'm going to kill you. And
wow.
I love that. I love that so much. And then I love when he like...
It's in it.
Also, man, what a shit job. You're number 2 to Adar and you still got to go clean the prisoner cage. Like,
did he clean it? Oh, is that what happened?
I think he's about to clean it, and then he sees the collars off, and he's like, "What?" And then I love when Sauron's riding away, and he just like smiles to himself that hears the scream.
Oh, it is. They did some things so right, and that is, you're totally right. It's so one of them. And I am going to walk back my criticism of the makeup of our new Adar. Because I think the pictures didn't do it justification.
The pictures did not. He looks good.
And he's doing a good job, too.
Yes.
He's a little bit more cruel. And I think it's just the actor. Like, a little bit more present, you know?
Yeah, like I don't feel the fatherly warmth that I did with last season.
Right.
Like, I understood... Not that I don't understand why the orcs are following him, but like when the first thing we see on screen in season 1 is him like holding the hand of a single orc as it's dying.
As he edits it for him. Yeah.
And so I don't get that like kind of, oh, I understand why they're following this guy. I can see like the love and warmth that he's giving these people. I don't feel that so much.
And he may not need to post-war, you know, because he's achieved what he wanted to, but you know, we just have to accept that it's a different actor, but it's so not as jarring as I thought it was going to be. And I thought he was doing a really good job. And like when he stood up, my criticism here is on what planet does Adar believe Halbrand, quote unquote, knows anything about Sauron? Why would he believe him? Why would he unleash him and let him follow him? I also have a real problem when later on when the elves go, our spies saw Sauron go to Mordor. Like how did anyone know what the fuck Sauron looked like at this? Like the timeline in this whole show is really, really chunky. And so there's some things like that when they explain. Like also, let's not forget they sent a spy to follow Halbrand to Region. So there's just like a couple things that like we'll know what those repercussions are later.
I think they tied that loose end up where the elves
in season 3 or episode 3. I haven't seen episode 3 yet.
Maybe it is episode 3.
Okay, so I haven't seen that yet. We'll see.
Okay.
I just thought it was really silly that they had a spy know that Sauron went to Mordor, but lost track of him and didn't see him go to Region. But anyway, yeah, the new Adar is great. The payoff with Waldrag, it's a little unceremonious ending for Waldrag, but he kind of deserves it because he's a POS.
I was surprised that I guess they wanted
Ended it so
orcs only because they say they release all the Southlanders, so there's no more humans in Mordor basically. And
did they release them? I didn't see that. I thought they were enslaving them.
No, he said like release my people and I'll give you the info.
And I don't know that he did that though. Did he?
I think he did. He says he did.
Oh, okay. See. Maybe I missed that. I know that was something that quote unquote Halbrand said, but I thought he like got a different, just like let me go kind of thing. But yeah, maybe release my people. What would be the point in releasing the people then?
That's the thing is that when he said I released your people, I thought it was going to be a Return of the King moment of like release the prisoners. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going to happen.
Sure.
Because I mean, in this first episode, like we got the crazy prison stabbing of Sauron that they don't pull any punches on, where like that was very brutal. And so I was like, okay, they're not really holding back with the violence this season. Not that they really did in season 1, but it's just like, okay. So I thought they were going to do that, but then I didn't see any, like there's more scenes in Mordor later on and I don't see any humans around. So I think
I just might have missed it. But yeah, he sends him on his way to Eregion. Gil-galad tries to send a missive saying, let Celebrimbor know that this is Sauron.
Yes.
Because dumbass Galadriel doesn't say a goddamn word, just says, we can't treat with him. I know that she's embarrassed.
That scene where he's like, spit it the fuck out. Like, why do you avoid my question? You're talking to the number one Gil-galad hater of season 1. He's pompous. He's arrogant. He's like borderline misogynistic. He's not, like, in my opinion, hot enough to be Elf King.
Sure.
Like, especially once we get Lee Pace. Like, come on. Like,
yeah, totally.
To be fair, that's unfair towards this actor because no one's Lee Pace.
Sure.
But those are my Elf King, and so I was the number one Gil-galad hater, but you know what? He's in the right here. And he is on Galadriel's fucking neck in this scene, and I'm here for it. Like, I love when people get pressed when they're in the wrong, and you're just, because like so many times where it's just like, oh, like I hate like You, Me, and Dupree and Meet the Parents, where like the simplest miscommunications happen in like married couples and they don't talk about it.
I know.
It's so I hate those quote unquote comedies. And so I love when someone's just getting say it, spit it out. You know, you didn't answer the question. It's like that moderator that was on for the Republican. It's like, well, you didn't answer the question, so we're just gonna keep moving on. Okay, anyways.
Totally.
He really he was so good in this scene.
It's Paul Sorvino to Ray Liotta. Don't make me the asshole. He smacks him in the face. It's fantastic. I love the conceit that Elrond was 2 feet ahead of her and was able to get the guards to seize her and tell Gil-galad everything.
She literally went left one time.
And she's the public enemy number 1. It's just very, very funny. I think Elrond's right to be concerned about the rings. I think, I can see any Tolkien enthusiast being a little frustrated with like, hey, the rings were a secret plot, everybody. No one knew that this was Sauron's plan. But we also have to accept that this is TV. And we're getting a little bit of a changed story here, and it kind of works. Elrond's just like real woke to what's going on, though. And they lose the rings here. He goes to Círdan. Gil-galad sends the missive. And then Halbrand shows up at Eregion. And I'm genuinely surprised that Celebrimbor doesn't let him in.
He's like, you know what? You're trouble. You're bad.
It's like when I would like turn dudes' names into do not answer on my phone.
Yeah. Sauron is sending a 2 a.m. you up text to Celebrimbor, and Celebrimbor's like, I shouldn't answer this. No.
Even his servant is like, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
That's a bad friend.
That's a bad friend right there. That's like your friend where you're out, you're like, you can't text them, and after 3 glasses of wine, when he sends you a text, you're like, I don't know. Maybe he's changed.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe the
You can change him. You can save him.
he's speaking in I sentences. He probably went to therapy.
Yeah.
You should, we all have those friends. You know who you are.
Absolutely.
You did us no favors, but the sex was great. So, Celeborn says no. Then where are we now?
Let's move over to Nori and the Stranger.
Correct. So, man, I'm going to share with you one of our Patreon subscribers. We have a Discord that people can access for free. And a couple of our friends shared their thoughts in here. And Arsenal Roy 2K shared, I'm watching the season premiere, and the most disgusting thing is Nori and the Stranger eating bugs. Sauron being a big pile of goo, totally fine. Dining on big roach things, no thank you.
I love that scene where, like, you know, he goes up, they're in the desert, obviously, they don't have a lot of food, and she's like, we just ate the last snail. So, like, I think that's good script writing where, like, that was the food, like, if she said, like, oh, we just ran out of our last bushel of apples, and then they explode a bug tree, and you're like, that's food? Okay. But no, her saying, we just ran out of snails last week, or whatever she says, is good.
So that you know that she's stoked about a pile of bugs.
Like, not a pile of bugs. A fucking legion of beetles come out of this tree. Like, I feel like I was watching Ants or something like that, where they go fight the termites, and it's like this crazy Saving Private Ryan D-Day ass scene.
Crazy pull right now. Crazy pull on your part. Crazy.
It's all up here, baby. It's all up here.
Wow. I couldn't tell you a single fucking plot point of it.
No, I really couldn't either. Besides that scene where I'm just like, where the fuck did this come from? It's like this brutal, like, war scene in this kid's cartoon movie.
God, the thing is we all saw it. We all saw Bug's Life, and we all saw Ants.
Yep.
Okay, anyway.
But yeah, I loved that scene. I was okay with them just shish kebabbing all the beetles and eating them one, like, segment at a time.
Do you know how I coped? Was accepting that these actors weren't truly eating bugs. I was like, oh, I wonder how they made it look like bugs. And
yeah,
then,
I wonder what that stuff was made out of. He definitely takes a bite of one.
Because here's the thing, folks. If you're watching or listening to this show, do not at me and tell me it was real bugs. And if that's the truth, I don't want to know. I really don't. We also got another message. Brad Grenz in our Discord asked what happened to Nori's stepmom. Didn't she go with her and the Stranger last season? Nori's stepmom went with them to go save and rescue the Stranger.
Yes, from the Nazgals.
Nazgals is something I give Rings of Power a lot of credit for. Although Nazgirls is a little bit better because it's Nazgul, Nazgirls, but Nazgals is great. What we wanted was Poppy to be there. What I hate is how Poppy got there.
I hate how unceremonious it was. Because that was my stand up and cheer moment. Because, like, you know, you see the skull mask guy, like, you know, telescoping in. And then when the Stranger says, like,
fucking Jawas.
It is crazy the improvement this character has simply because he can talk. That is not saying that Daniel Wayman can't give a good silent performance, but Nori just babbling incessantly at a 9-foot tall man, like, it's just not interesting to me.
Totally.
So the fact that he's like, they're having conversations of what they want, where they're going, are they lost? And then he says, oh, we're being followed. And it turns out to be Poppy. It's like, oh, Poppy. And then they just cut to them, like, casually chatting. I'm like, I'm sorry. This is your best friend. Like,
and they showed us a whole moment about how sad she was and missing her truly and how different it is. And now Poppy's just here. To the point where I thought this was a dream sequence. Like, because first of all, I can't believe that Poppy followed them this far and didn't catch up to them. And like has been walking this long and that they let her. I don't know. It's just like a really tough stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it's like I love this stand up and cheer moment, but she should have just gone with her. You could have had
I'm going
with the Stranger alone, of course, and I'm coming with you. it fucking writes itself right there.
Yes, totally. I think they realized they made a mistake, and that's good for them that they fixed it because we needed Poppy.
Yes.
But ultimately, you're totally right. It's like, oh, we made a mistake. Here's Poppy now, and I I'm curious if any of you also thought that was um a dream sequence, because what we got was basically the magician, the stranger losing his goddamn mind about a staff. So it just seemed a little unusual to me. But I'm glad she's there. She's got the map. Good for them. We get the dark wizard too, right?
Yes. Not what's his name? Oh, I had it. Really great actor. I love this actor. He's gonna be in Game of Thrones. He's upcoming. You haven't met him yet. He's Steppenwolf. Oh, I can't think. Kieran Hines. There it is.
Oh,
Kieran
okay.
Hines. I had it.
Okay.
You've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He's really great, and the Nazgul that we lost, or decorporealized in season 1, comes back in a bloody butterflies and gives them a report, and then the skull masks are like, oh, we'll kill the halflings and bring you the stranger.
Yeah, and I think someone theorized that these could be potentially like corrupted elves or enslaved elves. I think they are just nothing but baddies. They sound real bad.
Yeah, Homeboy's just in the middle of a desert with a harem, apparently, just chilling.
He's killing it. He's killing it. He's celibate, though. I think he's celibate.
I think he's celebrating.
Woo! Okay. Yeah, but they claim to, they'll say we'll kill him, and then we see them track them a little bit longer. Is this also the episode? No. Episode 2 is when they go across the desert.
Yes.
What happens next?
I think that's really it, and then we end the episode with Círdan bringing the rings back to Lyndon, and how do you feel about this scene of like how Galadriel gets the ring? Like, because again, we are on board that this is an official Tolkien manuscript, yada yada yada. This is, I don't want to call it fan fiction, but a new reimagining of this story.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, but I wish, and I understand why it happens like this, but with everything that's happened and then happens in the next episode, even why Galadriel gets a ring doesn't make sense in this universe. And so why they just like let her keep it when it falls to the ground doesn't make sense, but it's Galadriel in our eyes, so we understand it.
I understand what you're saying. I don't know. Because also Círdan decided to have it of his own volition too, right? Like he just put it on.
He wearing that thing.
And I believe he was given it, and there was more. Listen, folks, if you're just finding us, Ben and I know the movies like the back of our hands. We both read the books. Ben took a look at the Silmarillion, can't remember a damn thing. No one
read
here,
in high school. No
one read the appendices. Help us. But I always go back to what Tolkien said, that like, oh, maybe this happened instead. Like he was more discovering the stories as opposed to full-fledged writing them.
Yeah.
Of course, this man wrote them, but even he had different depictions of how the orcs came to be and all those things. So I like the idea that like it can change. But Círdan, we're supposed to believe he's got a lot of wisdom, but now we're questioning whether he also is under a spell, right? Or being lulled by them. It makes sense for Gil-galad to have them. It makes sense for us as viewers who know Galadriel, you're so right, to have a ring. Why would they go, hand the ring back? Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, especially because...
Or why wouldn't Elrond, like, tackle her here?
And that's it, especially, like, in the next episode, where, spoilers, like, he's like, oh, well, Elrond's not joining your team, Galadriel. Elrond's leading the team. Right. He, like, literally demotes her to her face while she's wearing a ring of power. And I'm just like, okay, I know Galadriel. The audience knows Galadriel. But in this world, Why are you?
She's
is
not
it,
to be trusted. He's even saying, I could send you to Ettenmoors, for being a
Yeah,
bad girl. Like, don't let her wear the fucking ring then.
I know it.
That's
Is
a
it
good point.
like? Is it like me that when I set up my gaming PC and everything works, but I don't have external speakers? It's just in my headphones. And I'm like, I don't want to touch anything and mess anything up, so I'm just gonna leave it. Is that what Gilgalad did when the tree came back? He's like, oh, Galadriel's wearing it and we have got the leaves. Okay, no one move anything. No software updates here. No new 1.0 version. Yeah. Skip version. No
Don't
update.
ask me again.
Don't ask me again. No cookies. Nothing. Let's just nobody move.
Well, I mean, there's a world too where you think about it. They have bought into the conceit that these rings are the solution. That's what they believe.
Yes.
Because it's got mithril, which we're supposed to just buy, which is fine. I'm in. The ring went to her. So I think that's what we're supposed to think about. Because also the ring found Bilbo. So like the ring wanted to be found, right? And was accidentally found
the ring
by...
didn't want to be found by
You're
Bilbo.
right.
That is
You're right.
canon. It wanted to be found by Gollum and Smeagol and Deagle.
Smeagol. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just saying the ring has a will.
Oh, for sure. I
And
totally
so
understand that.
And part of them may have gone, well, it's right in front of her. So like they're all little kind of, I think they're all a little moon-eyed over these things. So let's put it this way. I didn't question it. Now that you bring it up, it's a great question. And it was a little, to use a word we use often, unceremonious. It was a little weird.
Yeah, like I like the moment. I think it's very well shot. It's very well acted. Again, I'm loving Gilgalad in season 2 when I never thought I would. And then Círdan just coming in like a wrecking ball with that face of his. Like
when Gilgalad sings, it's too good.
It's
too good.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Where did you come from?
When we do the Beyond Middle Earth series for these actors, I can't
wait for you to watch that movie. It's fucking insane.
I can't wait. Oh no, but yeah, no, Gilgalad like rose to power. We get to see Celebrimbor in a whole new goddamn way. And it's also really awesome to see Charlie Vickers really give us a full performance.
He is really, really good. And
he's unleashed now. He can do because we got to believe for a long time in season 1 that he's pretty much a good guy with the pest.
And that's the problem with season 1 is like it's unraveling the mystery of who is Sauron out of all these 3 storylines.
Cameron did like a crazy thing with it. No, but it was almost edited to do it. It was great.
And so he and there wasn't enough, oh, this guy could be Sauron clues in season 1 to like really make it a thing. It was just like, oh, it's this guy. Okay, cool. But this season, Charlie Vickers is really, really invested in this role. He's having fun with it. Like he's like, you can just see like the devilish grin of like, he's never like stressed of like, oh, he's not letting me in. Okay, I'll just wait here. By the way, what the fuck, elves? You can't kick anybody out? Do we need to hire like a bouncer?
Why are they letting him just stay there?
Like, this is the main gate.
He's in the way.
Don't let Halbrand be a fucking Karen over here and be like, oh, well, I want to speak to a manager. I'm not going anywhere. You can't make me wear a mask. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I've got a health exemption, and it hurts when I breathe.
My religious exemption. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Amazing. It's weird. I buy it, but it's weird.
I don't. Like, it's not like an actual complaint I have, but I'm just like, like, no wonder the city fell. You can't get one fucking motherfucker out of the city.
He should be just right, like sitting up against the wall. You know what I mean? He should also
he should have like cuffed himself to that well right there. It's like, I will not leave.
I know, it's so silly. It's so silly. I think it's also really, really short-sighted and really bad writing to have Gilgalad go, Celebrimbor's gonna be fine. It's so tough.
I mean, okay, to be fair, this isn't a baby elf or anything. This is an elven lord, the best elven smith.
The walls are 10 feet thick, and it's just so dumb.
You know what? We've seen people overestimate structures before.
Sure.
Don't ever let Gilgalad out on the Titanic, but
it'll never sink.
Yeah, you can't. We just saw a billionaire super yacht sink last week.
We're talking about. Wait, did it? Oh, I thought you were talking about the submarine.
No, that's a different thing. That's a whole another level. But again, that is a perfect example of
Is everyone okay?
No.
On the yacht?
No. Another. The ocean claimed another billionaire.
No.
Yes. And so it's like,
wow, Círdan wouldn't have gone down.
But that's the thing, is that Gilgalad is in the mindset of I'll get on this submersible controlled by an N64 controller. This sounds great. I'll trust these rings of power. Yeah, don't worry about Celebrimbor. He's good.
Wow.
And I mean, I will say, the reasons he gives make sense. This isn't like Theoden going to Helm's Deep, cornering himself behind a big wall. It's surrounded by water, so they can't really be attacked there. It does have 30-foot tall walls, or whatever he says, and it's a bunch of elven warriors. They should be good. They're just they don't know that they're going to be attacked from the inside as well as the out.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, which is also short-sighted because they saw how he manipulated Galadriel, but listen, it's a TV show. They got to set up some intrigue. They got to, they got to believe. They got we have to get the Sauron bad guy evil, speech at the beginning, and we need to have them go, it's going to be fine. Because we know, spoilers, it's not going to be. Anything else we want to talk about this episode before we wrap it out?
I think that's it. But again, it's the same thing I said on our preview, where we're going to have to get used to watching our protagonists get their ass kicked for 4 seasons before something happens, maybe in season 5, where if we're going to do the Battle of the Last Alliance, then they win. Because that's what happens. They lose a lot.
It's so true.
They lose a whole lot. And it was the same thing with Morgoth. They lost everything before they started winning.
But that's what's really exciting about what this one episode did, is show us how awesome it's going to be to flip-flop on feelings for Sauron. And Charlie Vickers is going to lap this role up, and I'm so here for it. So join us for the second episode. It will be dropping shortly after we record it tomorrow, which is Saturday. If you're listening to this later on, we thank you for listening and taking us along your journey for the Rings of Power. There's several ways you can support this show, and it really does help us make better content, bring it to you sooner, and also contribute as a member of our community. You can sign up for Patreon right now at the $5 tier. You get exclusive access for our House of the Dragon podcast, our Game of Thrones podcast, and every other time besides doing Rings of Power, early access to our episodes. So that would be a huge help to go to www.patreon.com/podcast of the rings.
And we'll be doing Discord discussions every Monday. We'll release a time. We got to settle on a time, but we'll be doing discussions.
Probably Wednesdays for sure.
Wednesdays for sure? Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Perfect. Wednesdays for sure for our Discord discussions. So make sure you guys sign up there. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment, because we're in our bag now. Doing the Beyond the Middle Earth stuff, watching different movies from the Fellowship was really, really fun. But this is what this podcast is about. I want to knit and pick every single thing. I want to discuss every single thing, because I am in the We Are So Back baby camp right now.
I wish you guys could see the text. I mean, I may screenshot Ben's text to me when he knew the seasons dropped. A WWF Sean Astin guzzling beers is great. It was lovely.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I
wish Sean Austin.
Please, someone find a video of Sean Astin cracking 2 Coors Lights and fucking chugging them. I want to see that. Special thanks to Jesse Gillespie, who's a Patreon member at the Elven Ring tier. And thank you guys so much. We've got so much good stuff on our Patreon, so make sure you guys join us there. I'm really excited to jump into Game of Thrones, but this Rings of Power, these first 3 episodes, sucked me right back in, and I am here for it for sure.
Hey, if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or your preferred podcast player, leave a 5-star review. Tell us why you like us. I even like it when you tell me I give you the ick. It's still better than not saying anything.
Engagement, baby!
Let's go! And until next time, Ben.
May our paths meet again.